Written by Atsushi Kobo, the creator of Soul Eater, and animated by David Productions, who brought you the JoJo franchise, Fire Force is a dark fantasy that came out in the summer of 2019. The story of Fire Force is set in the Tokyo Empire, a mostly stable part of Japan in a world destroyed by the Great Disaster, a calamity that left most nations around the globe uninhabitable. It is here that Fire Force companies, groups composed mainly of pyrokinetic individuals, were created to fight and investigate the incident of spontaneous human combustion. These are random events where people, now known as Infernals, are suddenly engulfed in flames, gain an immense amount of destructive power, and lose control. Our main protagonist, Shinra, who has the power to manifest flame from his feet, finds himself joining the 8th Fire Force Company with the goal of simply wanting to become a hero. However, the 8th is special, since it was strong-armed into creation to investigate the other companies, 1 through 7, and see if one of them has already solved the mystery of spontaneous human combustion, but has decided to keep it a secret. As the plot develops, Shinra learns that his younger brother, who he believed had died in a fire alongside their mother, is actually alive and being manipulated by a religious cult who are also behind the infernal attacks. A fairly interesting premise, fantastic action scenes, and amazing sound direction immediately hooked me in the pilot episode. Nevertheless, it was the characters, the comedy, and the themes tackled that originally made me stay. For example, Shinra's nickname of Devil comes from the creepy smile he gets when he's nervous or even scared. The rest of the cast each have their own little quirks like this one, such as Maki, best girl by the way, actually being a little of a romantic despite her muscular looks stemming from a military background, or Arthur, a rookie wanting to be a knight, whose strength in battle is directly tied to how knightly he perceives himself to look. These silly quirks form the basis on how the characters interact and lead to some lighthearted humor, like having Shinra and Arthur argue whether knights or heroes are better, something that actually led to Arthur beginning to call himself Night King instead of just Knight, to one-up Shinra. I'm sure growing up we all had childish arguments with our friends on whether things like ninjas or pirates were better, and so I couldn't help but crack a smile at wholesome things like these. Unfortunately, the sense of humor sometimes becomes the LOL so random kind, like when Arthur wasn't able to defeat an Infernal because he, being right-handed, was actually holding his sword with his left. I do not know if that was really supposed to be funny, but I do know that Tamaki, a recruit from the first company, is another big culprit of the aforementioned lackluster humor. Tamaki's character has a tendency to lose her clothing or end up in other steamy situations for no apparent reason. The team was even able to defeat an imposter because only the real Tamaki would end up naked at the time. Pairing this with her Sakura syndrome of being pretty useless and having to be saved ultimately makes me take away points from the show. Don't get me wrong, I love me some fan service, and I do laugh at some of the silly, kinda random jokes. However, I cannot stop and wonder why they couldn't make Tamaki a better character, especially coming from the author of freaking Soul Eater. Although the humor is clearly present, the show does not struggle with its more serious moments. On the contrary, being able to transition from a light-hearted atmosphere to a more serious tone is one of his strong suits. Originally, Shinra's creepy smile was introduced in a joking atmosphere, with the captain of the 8th, Akitaro Obi, trying his best to make Shinra uncomfortable. However, we quickly learned that this characteristic has actually caused much strife in his young life. When his mother died, his face could not help but contract into that creepy smile, and this isolated him from the rest of his remaining family. It even led to his grandma, at least on the dubbed version, claiming Shinra was no grandson of hers. This, being revealed after the anime, made us not only just laugh at our protagonist for having such a silly quirk, but also after showing him reminiscing on his family, helped elevate the scene, and actually made me feel for little Shinra. The anime has an amazing grasp with subverting expectations, and shows that the story was clearly written with thought and care. Many of the themes explored in Fire Force are also depicted in a serious tone. We end the first episode of Fire Force with Shinra being one step closer to his goal of becoming a hero. After helping lay an Infernal to rest, with an amazing fight scene by the way, Shinra is giving a taste of glory and appreciation. However, our expectations are once again subverted in the second episode. Another Infernal appears, and although we expect another amazing fight scene, we are met with an Infernal trying his best to not go berserk and hurt his daughter or those around him. We are clearly reminded that in this world, the Fire Force companies are essentially killing other people, and that there is no glory in the act of killing. Rather, the honor comes from the lives being saved. Religious symbolism is sprinkled throughout the setting, and the captain even uses the word crusader to describe those who literally enjoy killing the Infernals. This helps the viewers see that the real demons were humans all along. Although not a completely original, since this is something discussed throughout history, the theme works pretty well here. Furthermore, although almost 100% accidental, the crusader part works especially well, since we seem to glamorize religious wars throughout history in ways such as the Death Vault meme. Of course, I'm not saying we shouldn't make these memes, but it doesn't hurt to be educated on the atrocities that we are taking lightly. This episode also delves into how our society glorifies positions with the power to kill, whether it be soldiers or police officers. Having the ability to take someone's life should not be taken lightly, and is something that hits relatively close with me, living in the US, where police brutality is something we are still working on. Themes like these are present throughout timeless works of anime, and although we get a peek of them in Fire Force, we eventually lose them. The show then proceeds to focus on Shinra's goal to save his brother, and the Infernals seem to take a backseat as the main antagonists are revealed to be the White-Clad. Unfortunately, while the Infernals allowed a discussion and study on human nature, the 8th fighting an interesting antagonist does not really add anything revolutionary. While I love most of the protagonists together as a team, since most of them are basically foil characters, the antagonists of the series are nothing special. They are mostly evil for the sake of being evil. I know I've mentioned that the real demons are humans, but that's for the atrocities we are willing to commit for what we believe. Here, the White-Clads want to blow up the world, but a reason to believe in and follow them is not really given. Not even a half-baked argument like how Tsukasa from this year's Dr. Stone wants to kill boomers to take their land. At least we are given some pretty cool action scenes because of the conflict though. Moving on, I won't really claim to know much about the technical aspects of animation or music theory, but I can tell you the show looks stunning, and I love both the first intro song and the ending song. I have even downloaded Osu, a game I haven't played in years, so I could jam to all the amazing anime music, and Fire Force's 2 mentioned songs even rank in my top 5 of the year. On the side of the visuals, the stylized scenes allow Fire Force to stand out, and the design choice for things like the company's tools and suits or the architecture for their bases are all really interesting and play a role in elevating the setting of Fire Force. While making this video, Fire Force was announced to get a second season, so I decided to read a little of the manga. It seems the Fire Force anime is not even half of the story, so there is honestly a chance for it to further improve, but as it stands, I don't consider Fire Force to be a masterpiece or a certified classic, a topic that was explored earlier this year by some in the anime community. For some reason, this honestly saddens me. I was truly expecting more. The disappointment towards Fire Force is reminiscent to what I felt for Darling in the Franxx. While Darling in the Franxx was the talk of the season, I do not think it ever crossed my mind that it was going to be anime of its year, let alone a classic, since it was too similar to Neon Genesis Evangelion. I did, however, felt this when I was watching the first few episodes of Fire Force. I was ready to go all in. Ready to say, move aside Demon Slayer and Promised Neverland, this is going to be anime of the year. I went and recommended it to my younger brothers. I just told them, you have to watch it, trust me, and how could I not? I truly felt I was watching history in the making. It was composed of spectacular animated scenes, one of my favorite opening and ending tracks of the year, a cast of characters all with their own unique and original set of quirks, comedic moments where I had to at least crack a smile, a world with a mystery I just wanted to know more about, and writing that could effortlessly change the atmosphere from lighthearted fun to a more somber and serious tones, perfectly suited to raise a discussion on some of the themes I was expecting to further explore. Fire Force had all the hallmarks for a timeless work of art, but for some reason, it stopped being great. Somewhere down the road, the formula changed, and it went from being something I would have considered to staying among the Cowboy Bebops and the Neon Genesis Evangelions to simply being a good seasonal anime with stunning visuals. And at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with that. Final score, 7.5 out of 10.